Hilchos Melochim Gimel Halacha Beis. Rambam says lo yarba lo inoshim. It's forbidden for a king to have too many wives. We'll see what the Rebbe says about this, but right now we'll go down to the Peirush lo yarba lo inoshim, and it says in Dvorim Yud Zayin 17:17. We were taught from our rabbis from Moshe Rabbeinu they can take as a wife at Shmoina Esri Noshim, 18 wives. Bein Anoshim Upilakshim, both wives and what's called a pelegish. A concubine, we'll have to see what that means. Hakol Shmoina Esri. Altogether, they should be 18. In Berial Halacha Daled he adds, and he takes from all of Israel wives and concubines. What's a wife? With Iksuba and Kedushin. A concubine is without Iksuba and without Kedushin, but rather by closeting themselves with Yichud. And that he has her together with him, he acquires her, and she's permitted to him. But a private individual is not allowed to have a concubine. That's what the Rambam says in Dalit. Rishonim disagree and say that Pelagshim is B'Kedushin. The only difference is they don't have Iksuba. What does the word Pelagshim mean? According to the Ravid, it says Leitiya Kadesho. We find in the Posik in Dvorim 23:18, one is not supposed to be promiscuous among Jews, both male or female. It's brought down in Hilchos Ishus, those dealing with marriage, chapter 1, Halacha Daled. Baalei Aloshan, the people who know language, they explain the language, Hebrew language, say that pelegish is a word that's backward, umurkeves, and it's put together, and it is pi shegal, two words. In other words, instead of pi legish, it's pi shagal, because at time she serves the house, and time she serves him as his wife to live with. And there are those who write that Pelegish is acquired with Kedushin without Iksuba, and he does not write there like the Rambam. And he disagrees, the Rae disagrees with the Rambam. The Marshal explains that Pelegish comes with the word palgas. And palgas is a sheep, that till a month. Till the 12th month it's called a palgas, and after the 13th month it's called an ayil. And when it goes out from being a sheep and it has not yet achieved the level of being a ram, it's called a palgas, that 12 months. So too a pelegish went out from being a woman who is promiscuous because she is set aside for him, but she didn't become his wife in totality. Now he says, I can have 18 amongst the wives and the Pelagshim, 18. The Ravid disagrees. Ravid says, you can't say that concubines are considered in the 18 that are permitted. David had 6 wives and he had concubines. And that was when Novi told him that I will add to you as the amount you have, and again, the Shmuel Beis 12:8. Thus, Kahina is another 6, and Kahina is another 6. 6, 6, and 6 is 18. Thus, it would mean Shmoina Esrei, 18, Chutz min HaPelagshim, without counting the concubines. The Gezer Mishnah explains what is he arguing about. The Ravid in Sanhedrin 21a, we learned that Melech is permitted to take 18 wives from Shmuel. It says over there that he had 6 wives, and Nosson came after the situation of Bathsheba. Nosson came and said to him then if he so desires, he can have altogether 18. The Gemara explains Kahino is another 6, as much as you have now. And Kahino is Oichesh, another 6. Altogether 18 women. According to the Rambam, the concubines are included in that, so the question is, what do you do with that? It says, V'yigav David Oid Pelagshim. When David moved from Hebron, this was when he was still in Hebron, when David moved from Hebron to Yerushalayim, V'noshim Yerushalayim, Achrei Boyo Yimei Hebron, when he came in from Hebron. Ma'aseh Nosanav Novi, Oyo Achrei Chen. And the action of Nosanav Novi was even later than that. And since he had concubines of Hebron, so it should include the concubines. So Nosanav Novi permitted him to have more than 18 wives. Because the Mishnah adds, even according to the Rambam, the Ravid, there's a question. Because in Hebron, he took already 6, and therefore he had, it says he had other wives besides the 6. And according to the Gemara, the Novi said he can add, he was permitted to take altogether another 6 and 6, altogether 18. Why does the Gemara say 18 if he had more wives than, say, 6 in Hebron? Therefore, the Kesef Mishnah is of the opinion if Bathsheba preceded David taking the posuk that says David took other concubines and wives, and therefore in Sanhedrin, the Gemara questions, it says that he got David, he took others, and that it was more than 18. The Gemara answers he only took to fulfill the 18 that were mutter to him. The Kesef Mishnah argues David took them after the Navi said to him, Bathsheba, you should be able to take 16, because if he took them before, how can it say the words Vayisifuloch, I will add? And furthermore, after he says I will add, David says he took other wives and concubines. And Shloimo's son was born, and everything was in Yerushalayim. David was king in Yerushalayim 33 years. When he was Nifta, Shloimo, his son, was only 12. And also now David spoke to David still in Hebron. Thus, the posuk that is difficult to the Ravid, not to the Rambam, because the Pelagshim are counted in the 18. According to the Ravid, the 18 wives are permitted. The king of Pelagshim, he as many as he wants. Kesef Mishnah continues. Kesef Mishnah continues to ask on the Ravid. He got over to other Pelagshim and Noshim who said after the Ma'aseh Bathsheba. And it would seem that he already had concubines. The posuk doesn't mention them. So he slime further concubines. And from the fact that in the Hebron he had 6 wives, except for the concubines, the Ravid questions of the Rambam, the king cannot have more than 18, including the Pelagshim. The Kesef Mishnah argues, he can explain that Bechebron he didn't have concubines, and when it says he took other concubines and wives, it means in addition to his wives, he took also concubines. He brings from Sanhedrin 22a, how difficult is divorce? Because the David, it was permitted for him to have more, but not to divorce. Rashi explains that they permitted David to be alone with Avishag when he was called, it says Vayiki Zokin David, even though she wasn't married to him, because he had already 18 wives, and he wasn't permitted to sanctify her, and he wasn't permitted to divorce one of his wives to take Avishag in her place. Even though the Halacha is, the Halacha obeys, as a king divorces a wife, he can take somebody else in her place. So therefore they ask a question, according to the Ravid, the Pelagshim concubines are not the count of the 18, so David could have taken Avishag as a Pelagish. From here it would seem in the Kesef Mishnah that a Pelagish is counted among the 18. Otherwise, what's the problem? Why do you have to say that he only had Yichud with her? The Hilchos Mishnah explains that it could be that the question of the Ravid is from Shmuel Beis. Koyama Hashem. we find Hashem said, "Hineni mekim alecha ra mibesecha." I will bring upon you evil from your house. Because of the incident with Bathsheba, David was punished, and Avshalom rebelled against him. It says, "Lekati is nashecha le'ein necho, v'nesati l'reyecho, v'shochav nishecho, le'eni Hashem mishazos." David was told that his wives would be taken by his enemies. And Avshalom mored with David. And when Avshalom rebelled, it's brought down in Shmuel, that David left the city by foot, and he left his 10 wives and his Pelagshim to watch the house. And further, it says, Avshalom on the concubines of Pelagshim Aviv. Not Not the Sheol. Right.
Otherwise, the teacher says, Pelegish is not his wife.
I hear. He had 10. Still, Rav Nosson said you could have as many. If at that point Nosson Novi came to him after Avshalom, so he had 10, and 10 and 10 and 10 is 30. So so you see the Pelagshim are not included. Now does the Rambam say that he can only have 18, which is wives and Pelagshim? The Mishnah says the Rambam learned that Nosson Adovi called the Pelagshim to David Noshim. And by them it was says Vishochav is Noshecho, because what he told him was he will cohabit with your wives, because Nosson saw that David would marry his concubines as wives, but he didn't have a chance to marry them until after Avshalom had a relationship with them. Regarding what the Kesef Mishnah pointed out, that David didn't take Avishag as a concubine, the Lecha Mishnah questions that David separated himself from those 10 concubines after Avshalom had relations with them, like in Shmuel Beis. And by a concubine, since there's separation, the exact opposite of the marriage is like divorce. Therefore, according to the Rambam, he could have married Avishag. When in Sanhedrin is brought down, the Achom permitted him to be alone with Avishag, not to divorce his other wives. When according to the Rambam, a Pelegish doesn't need a divorce, he could just send them away. And because Avishag did not have Kiddushin, only she was closeted with him. And the answer to the Lecha Mishnah is, since they are forbidden to marry others, they're considered attached to the king, and they're called Pelagshim. And therefore, it was forbidden to David to marry Avishag, even as a Pelegish. Because even though the king does not give a divorce, she's forbidden to him. It's forbidden to him to send her away, because it's like divorce. You want to say it's like sending away a Pelegish to take another Pelegish. The Rambam is of the opinion that according to the Rambam, David did not take wives in Yerushalayim except for Bathsheba and one other, which is Avishag. Thus, he had eight women, wives, and 10 Pelagshim. He says, according to the Ravid, that he had 18 wives. Why doesn't the Posuk say who they were? And they had children. According to the Rambam, they had 6 wives. But according to the Rambam, the 6 wives, the Hebron mentioned their names and their children. Also Bathsheba and Shlomo and her son. The only one that's not mentioned did not have children. The Pelagshim are not considered worthy enough to count them. You don't have to go to the point to say that at the end, David did not take other wives except for Bathsheba, because if that was the case, you don't have the statement of the Navi, and I will add you such and such. Because if he didn't take anybody, and furthermore, the Gemara seems to say that he did take concubines and Noshim to fill the number of 18. Yosef questions according to the Rambam. that Pelagshim means women without ksuba and without betrothal. How in Sefer HaMitzvos does he write that the king is warned from having more wives, and he says, and this border, they shouldn't add an 18, is talking about with ksuba and kedushin, and that would seem to stress that Pelagshim not included in the number of 18. The big lawyers argues that the language of also the concubines are within the 18 is a mistake. Therefore, it doesn't contradict what he wrote in Sefer HaMitzvos, what Rambam wrote in Sefer HaMitzvos. The Chidor argues that his words in Sefer HaMitzvos are compatible with the text of the Migdal Oz, and that's difficult to understand because the Radvaz side of the Migdal Oz argues, according to the Rambam, Pelagshim are within the 18 women that are permitted to him, like we have in the text that are correct. The Din Chaya cites it that his brother answered. Here the Rambam goes back from what he wrote. He recants. We know that the Hachazaka was the final say for the Rambam, and therefore it's more correct. And he's of the opinion that the mistake is in the Sefer HaMitzvos. And he cites this from the Chinuch that always has an halacha like the Rambam in the Sefer HaMitzvos. Mitzvos le'yabel noshim. He doesn't write the language that we have in Sefer HaMitzvos. And at that time there were no printing books; it was all by hand. It must be that the text was different. That our Pelagshim concubines are in the number of 18. The name Mitzvah, Rabbi Yehuda Eben Said, is the opinion that Rambam recanted from his words in Sefer HaMitzvos, and he brings from Kinnis Seifrim that in Sefer HaMitzvos the Rambam wasn't careful with the laws. Therefore, you can't ask from Sefer HaMitzvos on Yad Hachazaka, only in the count of the mitzvahs. The position of the Rambam is that a king is forbidden to have more than 18 wives, and that includes the concubines. The Ran questions, after that David married 6 women, he also had Ritzpo Bas Ayo, as we find in Shmuel 2, 12:8. That when Hashem sent Nosson Aronovi to tell David HaMelech that the wives of your master Shaul will be in your bosom, and I will give you the Kahena. And before she was a concubine of Shaul, and David took her as a wife. And if he married her b'chuba b'kedushin, so he had 7 women. And nobody spoke to him. Therefore, when he said this and thus, he should have to be able to have 21 women. Therefore, the Radvaz writes that Avishag was if Avishag would have wanted to be a concubine, God would have been permitted to have her, but he didn't want to. I mean, from Avishag, there's no proof, and from Avishag, there's no proof that includes the concubines. With this, we also answer the question of the guest of Machon Nesher HaGodol. According to him, why didn't he take Avishag as a Pelegish? Because she didn't want to become his concubine. The Ran is of the opinion that concubines are not included in the Isser of you should not have more wives. He cites that Rabbeinu David is of the opinion like the Raavad. Chacham and Shlomo had 18 wives, like a king, and he had 6 Pelagshim. So yes, he had more. The Makeves Mishnah pushes this off. There's no proof because the Pasuk states on Rechavam that his heart went away from going after Hashem, and he maybe did not do the correct thing when he took more than 18 wives and concubines combined. The Avnei Nezer clarifies that there's 2 types of concubines. One without ksuba and kedushin, one with kedushin without ksuba. And he cites that the Ran proved like the Raavad from Rechavam, the 18 wives and more concubines, and he pushes this off. It could be that the Rambam, these Pelagshim were without Kedushin, and there it doesn't apply. It's only Pelagish with Kedushin that's forbidden to take till 18, because that's considered a wife once you have Kedushin. The Rama, the Radak of the opinion like the Rambam, the king can take only 18 wives. The Noshim and Pelagshim, it includes the Noshim, it includes the concubines. The Rivosh. Questions. According to the Rambam, that a concubine is without Ksuba and without Kedushin. Why is she his wife to be considered among the 18? Hagoyin Rababi Aryeh Malon answers that according to the Rambam, there's a newness here that it's different. The king, that regarding him, there is a concept of marriage even without Kedushin. Therefore, Pelegesh is included in Loyal Veloy Noshim. Moetzes as Ubala Loike. If he added one more and he had a relationship with above the number that's permitted, he would receive Malchus, the king. And he has the ability to divorce one of his wives and take another one in her place. The Kesher Mishnah cites that this law is from Sanhedrin 22a, where it says, come and see how difficult divorce is, because David, he permitted him to be closeted with Avishag, and he didn't permit him to divorce one of his wives in order to marry Avishag. But La Halacha, he could have divorced one of his wives and married another. That's what's inferred by the Gemara. Okay, so the Mishnah questions. If he added one and he lived with her, why does it say he lived with her? Maybe even if he just betrothed her, he would also get Malchus, because with the action of the Kedushin, he has more wives than he's permitted to have. According to the Rambam, that a Pelagish is without Ksubo and without Kedushin, why should he receive Malchus on Pelagish only if he had a relationship with her? And I guess the Mishnah cites that we have to see where this is. There's a source for this in the words of Chazal. The Chinuch, Mitzvah 501, writes, if he added one wife more than the 18th, he has to get Malchus. He has to divorce her. The Chinuch says that with even Kedushin you would get Malchus, and that's what the Marit says. The Chinuch says they're going to the Rambam, you get lashes on every relationship, like any other lavim of Isuri Bio. Even according to the Chinuch, that he adds that with Kedushin itself you get Malchus, he'll admit that on every relationship he'll also get Malchus. Lechem Mishnah explains the opinion of the Rambam that he gets Malchus, he has a relationship with her, to the law by Kohanim, forbiddenness of relationship. The Kohen who marries a divorcee or a prostitute or a woman who is forbidden to the priesthood because she had a relationship with someone that's forbidden to her, and a Kohen Godol who married a widow and he didn't live with her on the Kedushin itself, you don't get Malchus. There it says Le'echalel, that there's a specific injunction they should not desecrate their seed, and that only happens through a relationship, that he causes his descendants to be chalolim. Even by king it says he should not have wives, so that they should not cause his heart to stray from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's only if he had a relationship with her. And as it says, he should not be found always at his side, because the fact that she will cause him to stray is what the Torah was strict about. This would seem to indicate if he has a relationship with her, that will cause him to become influenced. Therefore, the Rambam says, there's no Malchus, the betrothal alone. Is it the opinion that according to the Rambam, the king would get lashes for every relationship, just like any other forbidden. If you can't eat something, each time you eat it, you get Malchus. And there's also that this extra wife he would get punishment for her. Avram points out that she is not receive lashes. Why? Because the king, if he wants to, he can divorce one of the wives, and she's permitted to him. And therefore, there's no forbiddenness. The forbiddenness is only on one side. One a very unusual thing by commandments. She does not receive lashes for having a relationship with him. The Rambam doesn't say she receives it, only the king.